Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the VHS Tapes podcast. This is Resident Evil 2, Part 2.
Hello, everyone. I'm here too.
Could this be the end? Or will there be a Part 3 even? We don't know yet. We'll find out. Future Heroicus, was there a Part 3?
Fuck off.
Ah, you just told me to fuck off.
Nobody asked you, Future Heroicus. Go fuck yourself.
You listen here, you little shit.
I feel like that's a good transition into the episode, is just to tell your future self to fuck off. So, you have a lot of notes. I went through my notes already.
Alright, well, just piggyback off of me, I guess. Typically what
Well,
we
I do
usually
all the time.
Anyway.
Mm.
So, the alligator.
Sexy.
It's your favorite segment, actually, I think, right? You love playing. You love playing that one.
Oh,
So,
yeah, absolutely.
It's at a point in Leon's. You can go to the sewers. You come across a mutated alligator that, like,
We gotta get out of here.
I guess you could say it's zombified, but it's not quite.
Thanks.
Like, I mean, they will attack you and try to eat you, and they, it's infected by the G virus still, but it affects different things in different ways. It's weird. So this thing
It's definitely
is
mutated.
Yeah. Because I don't think any crocodiles on this planet are like 30 feet long or more.
You could feed a village with that.
Could actually figure it out, because if you use the trainer to skip around and you go to that area in Leon's campaign early, or if you go to it in Claire's, because Claire does not have any trigger points to activate that area properly, it just pretty much just lights the area and there's nothing to do. You can find that alligator just like sitting in that area, motionless, in what is effectively a T-pose, which is kind of weird to picture for an alligator, but it's just sitting there, and yeah, the thing's got to be like 30, 35, 40 feet in length. It's huge.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very, and it's got a sequence. It's very much on rails. It is, even on hardcore, painfully easy to not get eaten. Unless you're Venom. Because
I will admit... What?
I said, like, unless you're Venom, because, like, he's a bitch. He doesn't know how to, move his controller to the left and right fast enough.
Yeah, that's true. I will admit I died a lot to the alligator, and it wasn't even like the pattern recognition. It was just the like when he makes the second move and he does the second lunge. I always forgot he did the second lunge, and so my dumbass kept dying.
Yeah. But yeah, I gotta iterate. The segment is just really on rails. Yeah, I get it. Like, what were you gonna do with it? But it's like, I would have liked to have.
No, Leon, seriously, they're getting through the fence. Please just
Maybe if you had maybe if you were going through the tunnels and like it was like smashing through the wall a little bit, and you would deal a bit of damage and it would go away, to build it up a bit more.
like it leads underground.
It would have like made it been a bit longer, and it, the on rail section wouldn't have felt so lame, I guess. It's still terrifying, but once you play it a few times, it's like, yeah, I get it. Move to the left, move to the right, move to the left, blow up the thing.
The way you mentioned your concept of the way the alligator should have been reminds me of Arkham Asylum's Killer Croc fight. Oh, that's another thing. Oh, yeah. But that's for another time. Another video.
Hopefully later this year. I'm actually, maybe after we do Bioshock, I'll do that one or something, because I've been feeling like playing that game.
Sounds good. Yeah. Okay, so back on topic. Whoa, I'm bringing it back on topic. The world's gonna end. So
Yeah.
The bosses. I don't know if we should save this for the end or whatever, but I feel like we should talk about difficulty of the bosses.
Yeah.
I for one, Birkin 1 is hard, definitely when you're beginning, but once you get the pattern down, it's probably one of the easiest. You can literally knife him to death if you know what you're doing.
Yeah. You can do that so quickly he doesn't even properly have a chance to attack you. I've
Right.
done it. It took me a little while.
Right.
But before I was able to do that, I was managing to kill him with like taking one hit, which is still pretty good.
It is.
And it's gotta be humiliating for him. Like he shows up, he's got this big like mutated Hulk arm. He's got a big metal pipe he's swinging around, and like this little bitch with a knife just annihilates him in like 25 seconds flat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just some random twink officer. Yeah, just knifing you to death.
Yeah, depending on who's playing.
Yeah. I don't know why, but I just coined Leon as the twink character.
Yeah, even though he's like considerably got more muscle than Claire does.
Yeah.
And not to say she doesn't have muscle. When you got her in she's got her tank top, like she's got some muscle definition there.
Right. Very true.
So yeah, to finish up, this is part of the alligator thing. Right after, like, Leon's like, you told me the virus turned people into monsters, not reptiles. And it's just like, you do remember the zombie dogs earlier, right? Did he forget that?
Totally. Must have hit his head or something.
Yeah, obviously dogs aren't reptiles, but like, still animals. Like, they weren't people, and they were zombie dogs. So.
Mm-hmm.
I also find it funny how when you get in the elevator with Ada, it just magically starts itself. So, either that, or maybe Ada had her EMF thing under her trench coat, and she just like clicked it on discreetly.
Maybe. Yeah. What's interesting is if you go into that elevator and you go in the back, it doesn't activate. Or it takes a while to activate. You have to go up like straight up to the front for it to activate. It's very strange.
Yeah.
Speaking of, we're going into the sewers. It's very much the sewers at first are just a complete and utter maze. Like you're like, where the hell is everything? You're looking around. There's zombies everywhere, and now we're introduced to something called the G adults and the G larva or whatever the hell. Ugh.
And on top of this, there's loads of shit in Chinese takeout containers everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your character will smell like shit, literally.
Yeah.
I just grabbed that line of the game. So.
Mm-hmm.
But once you know how to do it, there's like, you only need to spend like 10 minutes, 13 plus in there, and then you go.
Yeah, it's definitely when I was like practicing like how to get through areas for runs. Like, I got through the first half of the game pretty easy, and I got to the sewers and I was so lost. But like after just playing it like a couple times, it's like I go in, I go up, I go over here, I collect this, go over here, collect this, finish the puzzle, kill the thing, done. It takes no time at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which next on our list is speaking of difficulty and bosses, G2 Birkin.
Yes. G2, yeah, it's interesting because he literally just comes out of the ceiling.
Right.
Which
And
is
then you
it's a
beat
cool
him to
thing.
death.
Two cool things you pointed out is at that sequence, if you look straight up as he does that and you manage to shoot him, it makes him skip his, spooky breaking through the ceiling crap, because he does that like six or eight times before he actually breaks the door down. He'll just go right to breaking the door down. Fortunately, I wasn't able to do that in my speed run. I looked up, but he moved right before I could shoot him. The other cool trick he showed me was the thing where you hide next to the fans and he can't actually get you there, which is, that was so helpful in my little convoluted Sherry challenge. Go watch that too.
Yeah.
4-parter.
Promise. Everything's fine.
I should have just named it Can Sherry
I just need you to hold
Beat
that line.
Resident Evil 2, but I had an Elm Street mod turns Mr. X into Freddy Krueger. So I called it A Nightmare on Ennerdale Street, because that's the street the station is on.
Which is
Although
clever.
the mod itself is called A Nightmare on Raccoon Street, which
Of course.
I get it, it's Raccoon City, but I don't think there's a Raccoon Street. I could be wrong.
Could
But
be.
whatever. It's still a really good mod. It was very well put together. There's voice lines, there's music. It makes Mr. X so fucking creepy. And all simultaneously... yeah, and simultaneously hilarious.
Yeah, I think the Mr. X mods are really cool, because it's like, he's such a looming figure, you can make it really anything. Like, he's this big, bulky guy, you could even just make it the Hulk, or Shrek, or, like...
Yeah, why has no one made a Shrek mod? They made one for Nemesis, but they didn't make one for Mr. X.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, there's definitely...
You can't be serious.
But yeah, my favorite thing about the Elm Street mod is the spawn-in sound for Mr. X, I guess, is replaced with "Welcome to Prime Time, bitch."
Oh, yes!
Oh, it's just perfect.
Perfect.
And it's just funnier, because the first time he says it, it's more intimidating, but then every other time he says it, it's just yes, we get it. Is that the only thing you fucking say?
What are you gonna do, darling?
And
We get it, Freddy.
sometimes when he attacks you, or rather, you attack him, he'll just say "sticks and stones" in his voice. I'm not trying to do the voice too well right now, because I'm still coming off of a cold, so I'm a little slightly stuffy. So, all right. So let's see, G3 then. That's.
Oh, we forgot to talk about the fight of G2.
Oh yeah, that's right. G2's fight. So yeah, he breaks the door down. You gotta chase him, and you have to knock him down, and then you have to have this crane with a shipping container swing out and then come back and slam into him. And there's 3 outcomes that can come of this. Number 1, if you're successful, it knocks into him, and then he just loses his footing and he falls down the shaft. And he's, well, you think he's dead, but it's not even his final form.
Right.
The second thing that can happen is he gets up before it hits him, and he just kind of stops it and then climbs back up. The third and the funniest is if you happen to be in the way of this thing, it just hits you, and you just like a fucking cartoon. It's just it comes in, your character looks at it at the last second, and then you just see the container come into view, and you don't see your character snapped out of the area, but you get the impression that they've just been whacked into the wall. It's so funny.
There should be a mod where it's like Claire has a sign that says "Oh no" right before getting slapped, like in the Looney Tunes.
Yes. Yeah, actually,
Uh,
just make a mod that turns Leon or Claire into Wile E. Coyote, and it just makes Birkin into uh,
Roadrunner.
yeah, the Roadrunner. That'd be hilarious, especially like if it has no animations, it just moves around and just goes meep meep.
Oh yes.
They'll,
As
that would
far
be,
as yeah,
oh, that would be so fun. I'd play that. That'd be
I would
fucking
too.
great.
That'd be really good, and just all of them replaced by Looney Tune characters.
Oh yeah.
I would say though, G2 Birkin is probably the hardest of the Birkins. Speaking on the way of like the limited platform, you have such a limited space for him that he can get his
Yeah.
hits off way easier than any of the other ones.
Mm-hmm. All right, now G4,
3.
G3.
We just got done
Right.
with 2.
Okay. Ugh. Okay. G3. Yeah. Okay. So that one, I think this is the. While the following two are like actually more nightmare fuel. They seem a bit much in areas. I think G3 is the most terrifying.
Oh yeah.
Oh, especially his little animation, like when the fight starts.
Mm-hmm.
He's just like raising all his arms up a bit and his claws and shit, and it's just like the music swells up a bit. Oh, it's terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
Plus his face. Also, this is a thing that goes on is G2. I mean, no, G1. You can actually see like Birkin like pretty well. It's like half Birkin, half monster. By the time you get to G2, a head has developed, and it's like a separate entity that's growing out of the G virus, and the G virus mutations, and it's taking over. Birkin at that point is like his head's pushed to the side, his arm is like all like it's against his body. It's not even really being used anymore. He's just being absorbed in. By G3, you barely see his face. He's pretty much gone. This monster has fully taken him over at that point.
Mm-hmm. It's horrific.
Yeah, it's horrific and it's sad to see. Even when we get into it, like what actually goes on, like why he becomes the way he is. G4, yeah, you can't even see him anymore, really. Like barely.
No.
You can actually see him better as G5. Like you can just see this one head, but I'm not sure if it's his or just something that got assimilated into him because there's other body parts there, and I'm pretty sure the guy didn't have like 40 arms.
He should have.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, G5, that one is actually pretty freaky looking.
Yeah, it's freaky, but it's not as menacing. It's just like, oh my god, would this thing just fucking die already?
Mm-hmm.
Even
like the way it like develops all over the train car as it gets forward towards you, and you're shooting it and it's not working, and you're shooting and it comes forward. I think that was done really well.
yeah, it's just like, ugh. But yeah, it's just interesting because like after you handle G3, it the next mutation is just like more grotesque. It's just fucking eyeballs everywhere, and it's just bones sticking out and claws, and it's just a mess. And it becomes even more of a mess as G5. But G5, while like seeming the most threatening because of its size, it's a fucking joke.
Uh-huh.
Like I went on
the
a run.
easiest.
I went on a run with Claire, and I was playing it legit, stocking up ammo. I got through every other phase. I got to that one. I'm like, I was expecting this one to be the hardest, and it's like, I finished it off with my spare handgun ammo. I didn't even use my my acid rounds, my stockpile of acid. I shit you not, I must have had like 100+ acid rounds in my inventory.
Damn.
On top of grenades and shit, but I took it out with just my remaining handgun ammo, and I was like, really? That's it? Oh. Whatever.
Yeah. It's interesting how the last two Birkins are actually kind of easy.
Hang on.
Like, I think G4 Birkin is easier than G3.
Hello? I have the
In a way,
package.
yeah, but he does have his running attack, which can be trouble if you're standing in the wrong spot.
Right. That's why you always just gotta hug the train.
Yeah. Because then when he does it, like, he'll typically run in a perfect circle around the circumference of the circular platform you're on.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not, kind of just makes a curve directly towards you.
Jesus Christ.
And,
Right.
yeah, you ain't dodging that shit.
No.
Alright.
And it's like he does that a lot, so you have to be very careful.
Alright. There is another boss, but I think we'll come back to that. I want to go back. Back in the garage
Where are you?
with Leon after Ada has to save him. The first time she saves him from the dogs, here she saves him from the Mr. X attacking him. And like how she's just like, this is getting old. Saving your ass, that's twice. And I just laugh at it.
Don't stop.
And like, yeah. It's like,
Yeah,
I mean,
we'll see about that.
yeah. He ends up having to fucking do all the work in the end of the game because she gets hurt badly.
Mm-hmm.
Sherry, come on.
Yeah.
And slightly after that, you meet Kendo, and he's got his daughter. She's infected. She's like halfway between being a zombie. And it's just so sad to see, like, she's just barely clinging on to the last few shreds of humanity. And you get... She asks for, like, her mommy, and he just, like... He, like, gasps for a second and, like, Mommy's sleeping, honey, and I'm gonna put you to bed, too, okay? And you deduce from that line the mother was the one that got infected, probably the one that infected the daughter, and he's already killed the mom. It's just sad. And then when he takes the girl aside after talking to you, you just hear a gunshot. And like, oh,
Wake up.
it's like she's gonna turn, but it's still just like sad. Like the guy had to put his own daughter down after killing him, after having to put his wife down.
Right. It is. It's really tragic, and I think they're good at capturing the tragedy of like what happened,
Sherry's fine.
because it's just like everyone's existence was just thrown off balance into just chaos because of
What happened to her?
just the Umbrella
To assess the
Corps
situation.
dumbasses.
Who are you?
Yeah, I figure let's jump into that. So let me skip to that now.
Excuse me. Where is she?
So, it's time to talk about the first VHS tape inside the game. We actually partnered with the developers to leave an Easter egg before the podcast even existed, because we're that good. Future Heroic is actually time traveled back to do that.
Let me find Sherry.
So, thank you.
Thank you, Future Hero.
So yeah, it's in the sewers. It's you find these dead soldiers like in the sewers, and then even later in the game, you find this first tape, and then you find a second tape. But I'm gonna put them in chronological order so you get what was going on. The second one you actually find is what chronologically happens first. It reveals there's some Umbrella soldiers. They're arriving to where Birkin is. He's packing up the G-Virus samples, and they put guns on them and demand, hey, we're here for the samples, and he pulls a gun on them. He ends up getting filled with bullets. They end up taking the samples, and they go on. A flashback with a Nat later reveals that he didn't actually die right there, and he had one sample left on him that he injects into himself, and this starts the mutation inside of him. He goes on, follows them up to the sewers, tracks them down. At that point, he's in his G1 stage, rips through them all, and ends up just... He takes the virus, he basically consumes it, but some of it drops down, and some rats get a hold of it and start spreading it. And that's what eventually causes the outbreak up above. All because one guy just couldn't let his life's work be taken from him by his own company. Maybe, Venom. Venom.
What?
You're breaking up so badly.
Oh, yeah. How about now?
You might want to reconnect.
Okay, one second. Alright, I'm back.
Okay, you sound better now.
Yeah.
That was funny. Just like you said something like, oh yeah. Like, I don't know what the fuck you're saying.
You're like, sure, Venom, sure. But what I was saying is you could also blame it on the soldier that shot him, because he wasn't ordered to. He was ordered to keep him alive, but he
yeah, it's but well, to be fair, if I'm pointing a gun at somebody and they just suddenly pull out a gun, you're just gonna react. And that's the only reason he actually shot him.
Oh no, I'm not saying that's bad. He's just, it's his fault. It's all his fault. Let's blame him.
Yeah, okay.
No, I'm kidding.
But yeah, it's just... Yeah, I mean, he did get reprimanded, but it's like he just kind of reacted. He saw a gun, boom, shot him.
Right.
Still incredible.
It was sensible, yeah.
Yeah, still incredible that Birkin managed to survive getting his chest full of bullets for just enough time to inject himself with the virus. I mean, that's pretty much the only reason he did, because he knew he was dying, and basically turning himself into a monster would stop his death, and he would have just enough time to... just probably his initial idea was to take the virus, but by that point, the monster had already corrupted him enough that it was just seeking to consume the virus to grow stronger.
Right. Makes sense. What I think is really interesting is that when you have the Annette flashback of what happens, and she has the gun on him, the way his body is acting is very much like the normal zombies in the beginning.
Yeah, he's just kind of groaning, and you think you almost hear cracking and some shifting because it's already starting internally. And Annette is just too shocked of what he did to actually do anything. But damn, girl, if you had just shot him right there, this whole thing would have been stopped. I mean, the G-Virus would have been taken to a different Umbrella branch, and I mean, it could have just happened elsewhere, but the events the city wouldn't have been destroyed. However, I would assume that there's a possibility Jill could have still had to deal with Nemesis, but I think the only reason they sent him out is because the thing already started at that point, and it's nobody was going to get out of the city So they didn't really care if anyone saw this giant monster walking around, because, like,
Oh, good.
who's going to tell anybody? I don't think they would have sent Nemesis after her if there wasn't anything going on. They probably would have just sent, a hitman. They just called up 47 to take care of her, maybe.
the universes are connected.
Never know.
Never know.
And, so this ties into another thing, and that does,
You're gonna be just
in Leon's campaign, when you find her, she's, like, inspecting a zombie, and just, like, gotta dispose of it. She, like, lights it on fire. Like, why are you bothering to dispose of a single zombie? Do you not know that above ground there's, like, a whole apocalypse going on? You've literally done nothing.
All right. Now what?
It's not like someone's gonna walk into there and be like, "Ooh, a zombie! I better take a bite out of it," and then they get infected. They just be like, "Oh, that's a pretty ugly dead body."
That's gotta be it.
If anyone was even down there, who the fuck is walking around in the sewers?
I gotta.
Doesn't the body have one of those things that burst out of the chest? Isn't that why she burns it? Because it's like coming out?
Damn it.
Maybe. I'm not sure. There's something definitely sticking out of it, but I don't know.
Because that's what I thought it was. Like going back, because they have that chest bursting thing happen like twice in the story. So it's not
Yeah.
exactly out of the question.
Yeah.
Thank God.
We'll have to deep dive. And
I
just
think those,
look-
it's zombies that actually, they don't just do that on their own. That was implanted by Birkin.
Right.
And then those things become adults, which, ugh. Those things are fucking
Mhm.
gross. Those things like
They are.
merge with another zombie or something, and they just become this freakish hulking monster that likes to wait around and shit for some reason.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, and they grip you and they throw up on you, and they give you poison damage.
What the hell
Yeah.
is this thing?
And
Unless-
it's really annoying. But
Unless, of course, you feed them a grenade,
it's true.
and then they're just like, ugh, it's too spicy, and
Mhm.
they just drop.
Yeah.
They just drop dead.
A Sprite grenade. It's just got Sprite in it.
There you go. That could be a new mod. Just a grenade, but it's got the Sprite logo on it. And
Sponsored by McDonald's.
when it explodes, it just makes the sound of a soda can opening.
Get to work, people. We have so many mod ideas that we can't do ourselves.
Yeah,
What about sharing?
we'll probably come up more in the mod episode.
Raccoon City Bird-
So yeah.
Oh yes.
I couldn't let my daughter grow up in a world with the
And in another area, this is going to be two things. One is short, one is I got more notes on. So, Ada's section, I think, is just too short. It's nice to know in later games she's got more about appearances and she's got her own campaigns and stuff, but here is so short. And the EMF visualizer is so wasted. I hope that comes back in some form in future
Right.
games or something. Because that thing is cool.
Right.
There's
It's
so
secret
many
weapon time.
There's so many puzzles. I even went to in the trainer. I swapped with her and gave her that thing. I walked around the RPD and stuff. I was just wondering, like, hey, I wonder if they maybe left something in here that she'd be able to interact with. But nah, there's nothing. So
The
it's just like,
EMF thing reminded me of Arkham, the Arkham games.
yeah, it's kind of similar. But yeah, Batman's is way cooler.
It is. Also, he doesn't go, "It's secret weapon time," after he pulls it out.
Yeah. He's just I forget what it's called in the Arkham games, but yeah, let's just say like he'll be like, it's time for me to use the bat visualizer. I need to break into this with using the, like, it's so weird, the dialogue. in that game is like he's talking to himself, not quite in the third person, but like he's telling himself he needs to do things, and it's just like, if it would have worked better if they had not animated his mouth moving and just have it like it's his thoughts. But they actually have him speaking this, so it's just like, imagine you're a criminal that's like actually manages to hide from Batman, and you're just hearing him like kneel down next to an electrical panel, like, I need to break this with the bat tool thing. And you're just like, man, this guy's fucking whacked.
Oh, I need to upgrade my batarangs to do this, and the guy's like, what the fuck? Honestly,
Yeah.
at that point, you could just get him from behind and just hit him with a crowbar.
Yeah. In Claire's scenario, at least, Sherry's thing, it also feels short, but in the chase sequence in the playroom, it also kind of feels too long. It feels like it's on rails once you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And, well, there's also continuity errors with both scenarios that just kind of, I get why they're there. They're there to block you from walking around in areas you shouldn't be, but it's also just kind of annoying. So, in Ada's, she climbs a ladder into a vent after she does her super spy shit. But when you wake up as Leon, the ladder is somehow damaged, even though it didn't break when she went up it. So it's just like, how did this metal ladder just magically fall apart?
Right.
In Sherry's, there's a space in the playroom between two tables to walk through. This one, at least, is more plausible because you can see beforehand, like, the table's already partially broken and that it must have just collapsed under the weight. But still, like, tables don't just collapse without additional weight being put on them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just kind of a weird thing.
I think the table just felt like breaking.
Yeah, it's annoying.
It just wanted to. It's like, maybe I'll just break. Happens to me all the time.
And yeah, definitely, Chief Irons definitely got what he was coming for him with the Birkin's parasite.
Mm-hmm.
He got fucking alien chest bursted.
Mm-hmm. Yes. After Chief Irons gets what he deserves.
Yeah. Also,
Creepy motherfucker.
It's interesting. The have you ever noticed something in the, like, I guess the playground area of the orphanage that just seems a little weird?
What?
The gravestones.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, there's gravestones right and like to the left of the door. And it's like,
Oh.
this is a playground. Why are there people buried here? And it's not like it's makeshift graves, like they buried a couple of zombies or something. It's like they've been there for some time. So
Damn.
what the fuck?
Well, isn't he also the director of that orphanage?
Possibly.
Because, like, if so, that might be the implication that this runs deep and has been, like, for years.
Yeah, but why would he bury them like that, where everyone can see?
Because he's a weirdo.
Good point.
I must bury them in the playground.
All the children to see. Also, so when you're playing as Sherry, you come down the stairs, the door's locked. There's like something blocking it and everything.
Right.
But when Claire comes through, it's magically unlocked. So you mean to tell me that Chief Irons chased Sherry, got infected, walked out into the hall, unlocked the door, then walked back and waited for Claire? I don't think so. So, plot hole.
Well, if you have the key, you can actually go to the door and unlock it. So that is maybe the logic, is they think that you did that.
You can't unlock it. Like, if you try
I
as
thought you
Sherry...
could.
No. No, that's in the Catherine, bonus, like, mission thing.
Am I having an old man moment?
Yes. We're gonna put you down after this episode, Venom.
Oh!
On a similar note, we'll be casting to replace the role of Venom.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
You just have to have a squeaky voice. You'll fit right in.
I gotta get this train moving. I need you to stay.
I have a note. So
I promise I won't.
I think
Good.
they should have done something like MGS3 and allowed you to hide in lockers to lose Mr. X's trail. However, what I think they should have done is had these lockers, like, scattered throughout the station and whatever. And if he found you,
Okay.
he would either memorize what lockers were used, and honestly, maybe he would just rip it off so you wouldn't be able to use it again. Or he would open it and he would remember that you were in there, so if he walks through looking for you, he would check that locker specifically. I think that would have been... it would have added to the horror element of you're like hiding in there just hoping this guy doesn't, find you.
Right. That memorizing the locker thing is a straight up thing from Alien Isolation. So it's like, what if you made like a mod that is like Alien Isolation but Mr. X, where it's just like it makes him even more of like the xenomorph with the learning patterns and just the relentlessness.
Yeah. Also, it's hard to find. Usually you don't see this, but if you happen to be following Mr. X and you go into a dark room, he will notice your flashlight and turn around and come after you. So I think there should have been a mechanic to shut the flashlight off so you could sneak through a dark room with him not knowing you're there.
Yeah.
On top of that, giving you a crouch mechanic, because it's an interesting thing. In the Sherry thing I did, Sherry had an easier time hiding from Mr. X because she can crouch, so it hides your hitbox, which that's what he sees. He sees your hitbox. So if your hitbox is hidden very well, you can get away from him.
Pretty cool.
So, it's like, yeah, if they could have just improved that a little bit, but hey, you never know. Maybe they'll make another game. And, like, there's always... like, Resident Evil 2 has Mr. X, Resident Evil 3 has Nemesis, Resident Evil 7 has, I think they're called the Bakers or something. And then Resident Evil 8 has, Vampire Mommy herself, Dimitrescu. And they're all similar things. They all chase you and go on. So it's like, it could be a future game. Maybe they really make this thing where you can try to hide from it and be stealthy. It'd be fucking terrifying, and I'm down for it.
Oh, yeah. Where it's just kind of like the modernized play of, like, Village, but it has, like, the, like, atmosphere and setting of, like, one of the older Resident Evils. I could just, like, hell, even, like, a first-person Resident Evil 2 mod could really just elevate the horror.
I think there actually is one, because I remember... I think one of the rules on the speedrun thing is you can't use a first-person mod. So, there's one out there.
Oh.
That'd be interesting, yeah.
We'll have to check that out for the mod episode.
Mm-hmm. You mean I'll have to, because you don't have a PC good enough.
Yeah, I'll pretend to know what you're talking about.
If there's a rich viewer You should totally like give Venom a PC.
Mm-hmm. I'll give away one of my kidneys. I'll even let you eat it in front of me. If you give me a PC.
I'm gonna go over one more thing because we're gonna have to break this into 3 parts. Let's see here. Alright, so we got time for about one more thing, and yeah, this is gonna be a 3-parter. Fucking damn, there's so much to talk about.
There really is.
So, supply storage room down in the sewers. Leon gets the flamethrower, Claire gets the spark shot. Which is your favorite?
The flamethrower. It's just so effective. It just
Mm-hmm.
mows down crowds. It takes Birkin. It just fucking roasts him.
Mm-hmm.
Makes G2 really laughable.
Yeah. Definitely something I'm gonna do with the trainer is just for fun. Going through the game with like just one of the weapons, but it's weapons that you get later on. Trying not to get hit. Flamethrower will be an amusing one because you can't just stand there. You do have to move with it. You don't want to get overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
The spark shot is also a tricky one. It's very powerful, but it takes time to charge. So, and it only affects one at a time. So, it's not good for hordes.
It's good for bosses, though.
Oh yeah.
So what's the first thing you want to do when we get out of here?
But
good for bosses, and it's good for the G adults.
Yeah.
I wanna see where you live.
All right. So that'll be the end of part 2, and
Yeah.
Jesus.
yeah. See you next week.
Next week.
It's so
Oh boy.
I told you we'd make it, didn't I?
You did.